My name is Paul, and on today's episode I'm going to talk about some of the biggest myths behind bottled water. Now, I've got a lot of information here and even more as you'll see in a second, so let me go straight in with some of the first points. The first one is that we think it contains fewer chemicals. Now, what we need to know is that household water companies test several times a day, but bottled water companies only require to test their water once per week. So already there's less monitoring on the chemicals in the water. Now, the EPA mandates water treatment plants to provide detailed accounts of water sources, testing and contaminant levels of their water, but bottled water companies don't have any of these rules, so they can almost do what they like. So we already know now there's not fewer chemicals in there. Second one is, but it tastes better. Now, numerous tests have been done by lots of neutral companies, one of them being the New York Times, which is the one I found, and it regularly shows no flavour difference between bottled water and tap water between the people tested on it. And quite often tap water actually comes up slightly higher as well. The third point, and probably the biggest one, which a lot of people go by, is that it's healthier. You know, quite often we see on the adverts, you know, natural artisan springs or pure glacier water, whatever that means, whatever they try and mean by that. But what we need to know is that estimated 25% of bottled water is just tap water, and sometimes treated, sometimes not treated. But the biggest point I found on all of this when I was researching it, and most importantly on the health side of things, is that in 2004 Coca-Cola had brought out their brand of water called Dasani. Now, Coca-Cola had been around 120 something years, since the 1890s, possibly the biggest beverage producer in the world, and they brought out their bottled water called Dasani, which it came out in February, I believe, 2004. In March 2004, it was exposed as tap water from the main supply. Somewhere in Sidcup in the UK, it was exposed to just be tap water from the main supply there, and its purification process, as they described it as being so pure, was just was no more complex, than a modest domestic filter that you can buy for your house. And that was Coca-Cola's brand of water. Now, they produced it at 3p a litre, and they sold it at 95p a litre. So that's a heavy market for Coca-Cola, probably why they're one of the biggest brands in the world. But the most important thing that I found, and in terms of the health aspects as well, was that it was recalled in March 2004, and it was recalled for having twice the legal limit of bromate in the water, and this is a cancer-causing chemical. So it was found. Also, the testing found that they didn't have the bromate in the water wasn't there when it was found in Sidcup. It was there only after Coca-Cola treated it with their purification process. So they had to recall all of that. I believe it was over 500,000 bottles, and they also cancelled their plans to go into the rest of Europe with this water. So as you can see, that is incredibly disturbing, as Coca-Cola is a brand a lot of people trust in terms of their beverages. It's also one of the biggest ones in the world, and the actual water they're producing isn't even safe for our consumption. Now, one thing I want to make you aware of is actually reusing the plastic bottles if you do buy bottled water. All you need to know is that they contain trace amounts of synthetic chemicals that actually interfere with our natural hormones. That happens just after a few days of the water being in the bottle. A few studies, that have linked the same chemicals in 130 studies to various cancers, miscarriages, and decreased testosterone levels. Another fact is that if you keep bottled water in a car and it gets hot, one of the chemicals that actually comes off from inside the bottle into the water is one of the main chemicals in breast cancer. One of the main chemicals, that cause breast cancer. So it's obviously very detrimental, and now it's not just the water we're talking about being dangerous, it's actually the bottles used. And also, reusing the plastic bottles adversely affect baby and child development from the water and the chemicals coming off in that as well. So what's my recommendation? I would say that you drink filtered tap water. I add in fruits and vegetables to my water, put it in there after a few hours, and the water actually tastes like the fruits and vegetables. And obviously you're going to get far more minerals, far more nutrients from having more fruits and vegetables and having that in your water as well. It can only help you. And I would say you consume it in a glass or stainless steel containers. Those will be the healthiest ones for you. So I hope that gives you a bit more information on bottled water, a lot of the myths and stuff behind it, and why it may not be as healthy as tap water, or definitely not as healthy as you thought it probably was. So as I say, do some more research if you like, find out some more information. There is a lot of information out there, and hopefully you can just be more informed and be healthier for it. If you do like the video, give it a like. I'd love it if you could subscribe, but if not, I'll see you on the next episode.